This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with Violent Gentlemen. We're glad to say we're joined with Liam Wells. How are you, Liam?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Not a problem. I think it's actually nearly 2 years now since obviously we first sort of came to know of you. Obviously when you were fighting Paddy, obviously in Ulster Hall in Belfast. I was actually, Paddy took me for lunch there after his interview, and was sort of saying, you know, because he hasn't fought in nearly 2 years, just sort of saying, next month it's actually two years since your last one. And he's like, thanks for motivating me. You know, I want to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
You know? How's things been with yourself since?
Yeah, things have been good. I've had a lot of setbacks. I might as well go over that and cover them now. I've had a real lot of setbacks. The last year's been real testing for me. I've had a lot of family problems, which I won't go into, but I've had a lot of I've got a real close family. I've had a real lot of family problems, just like tipped my whole family upside down, which has been some crazy stuff, which has been real testing. And I've only found, I find my way of training sort of helps me get through them tough times. So that's been one thing. And then injuries, I've had a lot of setbacks. So I was meant to be boxing in November. That they give me the Sahir Iqbal fight for November. And then I broke my jaw, which I've not told to anyone yet. So I broke my jaw, come back from that. And then it was obviously the getting back sparring again, getting hit with it again. Touch wood, the jaw's amazing. It's stronger than ever. And it feels great. And when I've looked, there's been so many top fighters out there that have broke their jaw and come back. Scott Quigg, Oscar Valdez, who had a great KO the other week, Muhammad Ali. So this is just another part of boxing, break my jaw. And it showed how strong I am as a person, and what I'm capable of achieving and what I'm capable of going through. So that was one setback. Second fight was confirmed for February the 19th. And then we all got COVID. So it was another setback. And I had to pick myself up again, dust myself down and try again. And it was another setback. Third time, back training again. A week before the fight, I broke my hand. The same fight confirmed, I broke my hand. And then again, I'm thinking to myself, how many more setbacks am I going to get? When am I going to get my lucky break? I put my life into this. I train every day without fail. I put so much effort in. When's my time going to come? And you get a bit fed up for a few days. And then I just think to myself, all what I've done and all what I've overcome, these just setbacks part of my journey. And I'm going to look back and I'm going to realise that I've overcome them and that I've not stopped at each part of them. Even when I remember getting the surgery done for my jaw and I was like, am I going to carry on? And I had to kick myself. I was like, of course I'm going to carry on. This is just another setback. And I've had loads more from the kickboxing days. And like my trainer Jamie says, I'm going to get plenty more on the way to achieving what I want to achieve out of it. But if your mindset's set on what I want to achieve, then my goal in boxing is to one day win the British title. And I'm still young, and I do believe that I will get there eventually. And it ain't going to be one smooth ride getting there, and there will be more setbacks. And I feel that I'm showing that I can overcome them setbacks and move on past them. So yeah, it's been a crazy few months.
And I guess, you know, as you're saying there, sort of you have to go through. You know, you'd have probably rather broke your jaw sparring than broke your jaw in a fight, because obviously if you break your jaw in a fight, you know, that's really going to test it. So if you know if your jaw went again, say in a fight, you've had it before, you know how to adapt and to overcome it, and probably, you know, you've learned so much from it. I was sort of admiring your home gym there in the background. Obviously, that's probably played a big difference in keeping yourself grounded as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've got everything. I've got VersaClimber, bike, treadmill, ski, all the weights. So it's been amazing to keep me fit during lockdown as well. Sort of, if the gyms are not being open, obviously we're allowed to the boxing club and stuff, but to get the extra bit of work in it's great for me.
Yeah, it definitely and plays a big part. You made your debut about just over 2.5 years ago now. For obviously anybody that doesn't know, you're actually a former world kickboxing champion as well. How did it come about that you get into kickboxing? Was it watching the Jean-Claude Van Damme films?
This is another one of my setbacks. So I just got signed to a massive kickboxing company called Infusion, and they're probably one of the world's biggest shows. and I fought in Holland. It was a tournament. It was a 4-man tournament. And the first fight, the guy sort of clinched me and twisted me, and I fell, and I'd done my ACL ligament in my knee. And I had 9 months out getting my knee back strong. And during that time, I met my old trainer, Adam, and he was like, look, why don't we move into the boxing? And can't thank Adam enough for everything what he done for me. Really got me started, got me signed to MTK, got me off to a wicked start in boxing. And then that was it, really. The setback from the kickboxing moved me into the boxing. And at the time, I didn't know if it was the right decision or not. And then from there, I love boxing. It's changed everything, man.
I guess, well, obviously your ACL being done and stuff like that, you couldn't kick, so you had to punch. So probably
well, that's
came
it.
at the perfect time.
Yeah, the guy put so much effort in fixing my knee. I thought, I can't go back there in 9 months with it broken and damaged again. So I thought, touch wood, I've never had no problems with it since. It's been amazing. So I think it helps not getting kicked in the leg or not kicking with one leg. But I've never had no problems with it since. So yeah, it's been good.
It's fingers crossed it stays that way. I see.
Yeah.
You probably broke most of the bones in your body now at some stage. So I guess obviously when you break them, they heal stronger. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they don't re-break again in some way.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. I've broke so many things now. But it's just setbacks, and you have to come past them. And I've had plenty of them, and I'm sure that I'll have plenty more of them. And that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's moving forward. So, did you have any box experience, obviously, before you switched over? Or was it just something you were curious into and going, something I want to give a try?
Yeah, I had 3 unlicensed fights. I think like the unlicensed fights. I did want to do a year as an amateur, but our gym wasn't set up as the amateurs at the time. So I'd done 3 of the unlicensed fights, and then moved straight into the pro boxing.
Pro boxing, and I guess obviously when you're sort of getting involved in boxing, like I think within 7 months you were 5-0. It was sort of getting to the stage where it's probably sometimes to say you can get probably overconfident nearly, and you're going, I'm winning, giving the next one, I'm winning. Is it sort of easy to go off track sometimes and go, I could beat anybody, I could be a world champion tomorrow. We probably see so many times people say, I'm going to be world champion, blah, 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 and they have too much confidence. Obviously, during obviously you moving obviously quickly within that time, were you sort of trying to keep yourself grounded and knowing that it was still baby steps you were taking?
Yeah, where I didn't have no unlicensed experience, so I was getting great sparring at the time. I was sparring the likes of Connor, Benn, Ted Cheeseman, Ohara, Davies, all of these sort of boys weekly, and that was great for me, learning. And then with the fights, I've never been one to sort of like, I don't know, I say, I'm gonna win a world title or anything like that. I've just sort of took each step as it comes. And I think that the first sort of 5 fights I had were great experience, great opponents that I fought that built me up in the right way. And then I just took each fight as it comes, really.
And I know obviously from sort of doing a bit of research before or interviewing stuff like that, before you'd even switched over to boxing, you didn't even know what a journeyman was, because obviously in kickboxing the best just fought the best. And
I honestly didn't know. Like from kickboxing, like when I turned professional kickboxing, I lost my first 2 fights. When I turned professional kickboxing, and I'm one of the guys I fought has gone on to do massive things in kickboxing, and he was who I fought for my debut, and it's like, I lost, but it didn't really matter. I was back again. I didn't really understand the importance of it, and I think nowadays, the journeyman and the all about being undefeated in boxing is all because of Floyd Mayweather. Makes young people think that you start pro boxing and you've got to be undefeated, but in my eyes, like my trainer says, Jamie, records are for DJs, and I live by that, and that's what I think, because you don't look back at any of the greats and think like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, all of these top people, and even some of the newer greats. Anthony Joshua's just lost. You don't look back and think, they're no good, they are. But Muhammad Ali lost quite a few times. You don't look back and think, he lost loads. Like it doesn't define a fighter's career. So to me, it doesn't matter if I lose a fight on the way and I stepped up to the plate against Paddy and I lost, then it's all part of boxing.
It isn't, and I say it sometimes, like they say, you can't get too overconfident in the sport in times, and sometimes you go, I'm not bothered doing my diet properly this fight, or I'll not do my S&C so much, or I'll not train as hard as I should. And obviously, then when you get the defeat, you go, I know it was going to come, but it's as they keep saying, it keeps getting phrased and phrased and phrased. It's only a defeat if you don't learn from it, So you've taken that on board, and let's face it, losing to Paddy Gallagher isn't anything to be ashamed of. He's a Commonwealth gold medalist. Big Callum Smith.
That's it. Yeah, Paddy's an amazing fighter, and I wish all the best for Paddy. He's a lovely guy, and you know what? I'd rather lose to Paddy than lose to a journeyman. Mm-hmm. So it shows you your level where you're at. I mean, in my eyes, Paddy should be British Commonwealth champion. I believe that. So I've lost to someone who's at the level that I plan to get to one day. And it's amazing to say that I've been in there with Paddy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not happy that I lost to him, but it's better to lose to someone great like Paddy than it is for me to lose against someone who I should have been beaten, or drawing with someone that was there for me to be beaten. So I have no regrets in that. It wasn't any cheating going on, like any cheating in my training when I lost to Paddy. I simply weren't good enough, and like when you can admit that and be man enough to admit that, you'll move on. And I simply weren't good enough when I lost to Paddy. And I'd like to think that I've had 2 wins since then, and I've had some great sparring with Josh Taylor since then. Mm-hmm. I've developed a lot since then with my trainer Jamie. So I'd like to think that I used that loss in the right way to progress on.
Yeah, and I say that's the thing, like obviously where you wouldn't have been familiar with journeyman before. Sometimes obviously journeyman in the sport of boxing get probably slated very badly because you look at some of the records sometimes, and probably if you were fighting a journeyman, somebody would go, you're fighting a tomato can, blah blah blah, you're going to win this or the other. But sometimes fans don't appreciate obviously that for a journeyman, because obviously you coming into pro boxing and obviously never fighting at that sort of level before, it obviously helps. It's probably like nearly as you'd say sometimes an extra training session, because it's implementing what you've learned in the gym and bringing it in.
Of course,
The last thing you want to do is to go in and say where you fought in your kickboxing days and you're fighting somebody that's well above your level. You're not going to learn anything from it if they blast you out in 30 seconds.
That's it. Exactly that. Exactly.
So obviously, I know that you've since moved trainers and things, and probably looking back, but you probably say the Paddy fight probably happened too soon as it did. Obviously, what sort of changed for your training and things, since obviously the defeat? Did you sort of go back to the drawing board?
Yeah. So I think my training for the Paddy fight, we focused too much, and I think this is where now a lot of boxers focus so much on their strength and conditioning, and the outside of boxing. Now going into the Paddy Gallagher fight, if it was a running race or a weightlifting competition, maybe I would have done a lot better in it. Mm-hmm. But it's a boxing fight, and when you're in there, my boxing ability let me down. And for that fight, I think I focused too much on my strength and conditioning, too much on my fitness, but my boxing ability let me down. And I think now we've gone right back to the basics. And of course, strength and conditioning is something you need. I'm not saying by any means take out the strength and conditioning, but it took over a big part of my training. Mm-hmm. Whereas now I'm back to basics, and 90% of my training is boxing, and is boxing focused, because I think I've heard Tyson Fury say it before, and he'd rather go in there and be unfit and have his boxing ability than go in there super fit and not have his boxing ability. Yeah. And that was kind of how I went in there for the Paddy fight. I mean, I was lifting heavier weights than I've ever lifted, running faster than I've ever run before, but simply the boxing ability weren't there, and it got shown. And I think we're picking up on my boxing, getting that better now. Of course, the strength and conditioning's got to be there. The fitness training's got to be there, and that has stayed the same. But we've got it balanced out a lot better now. So I think that's I think that's it.
Yeah, as I say, sometimes people think that they have all the ability for boxing, and then something goes wrong, and then sometimes they struggle to find out what the problem was, but whereas you've been able to go focus too much on something else rather than probably the most important tool you need it.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and you'd rather probably lose at 5-0 than lose at 15-0, because sometimes there's too much to repair or
Too
not
much
knowing.
pressure and you're built up so high. Yeah, whereas I have no pressure on me. Like again now, like my trainer Jamie says, like my goal one day to win a British title. I'm probably gonna have more losses on the way. Not saying that I want to go out there and lose, but I don't care if I do, because if my end goal is to one day win a British title, I'll get there. And if I lose, I go again. If I lose, I go again, and I won't stop coming. And when you got that mentality, I think that's going to be hard to beat.
Yep, definitely. And I say it's one of them things sometimes that your motivation's the driving force behind what's going to happen in your boxing career, and one defeat doesn't change that. Like, I think Chris Jenkins is British champion at the minute, and he's had 3 defeats. You know, probably think of other ones. Like, I think, was it Tevin Farmer lost 4 of his first 7 fights. You know, and he still became a world champion and things like that. So it's
even the Ted Cheeseman story. I mean, he lost the British title, which I thought he should have won against Scott Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's had the draw with Conway, and then he come back and he got the win against Eggington, and then he got the win against JJ Metcalf last weekend. So it doesn't matter how many times you lose. It's all a telling sign. It's all character building to show how strong you are as a person and what you can overcome. I mean, if a lot of these boxers would have had their first loss and just called it a day, there probably wouldn't be so many all-time greats. They've come back, they've lost, they've gone again. One of my favourite fighters, Pacquiao, I think he's lost like 6 or 7 fights now, but he's fought Marquez like 4 times. He's been in there with the greats. Like, you don't look and think, oh, Pacquiao, he's no good. Like, he's been in there with Mayweather, been in there with Marquez, all these great names. So yeah, it don't define you. So again, when my boxing's said and done, I can look back, and if I have these losses, I'm happy to say that I've been in there with a top fighter like Paddy, and that I've fought the best people from my generation. I mean, it's a lot better having a loss to Paddy on my record than trying to explain losing to a journeyman, like explaining the loss and losing to someone like a journeyman or someone like that. So
yeah.
So it's all part of it. And like we said, as long as I'm learning from the losses and progressing on, and I can keep going.
Definitely is. And how you know, obviously it was what, February, I think you had COVID. How's things been since?
Yeah, it was all right, really. It was all right. It was crazy. It was only that I heard my mum coughing in the night of a Thursday. And then she'd just been feeling a bit tired, like. And then I said, "Oh, I've booked us all a COVID test." And this was and my mum's like, "Nah, don't be silly. There's nothing wrong with us. We're all fine." And then we all got tested, and we was all positive. And my mum was okay with it. I was totally fine. I mean, the same day they told me, I was come back out in my little gym and done a run and felt okay. And I asked Jamie if we could not say anything to Lee about the fight and keep the fight going. Maybe I'll be all right. And then Jamie come down with it as well. And my dad got quite ill with it. So that was another bit of a setback. And it was it was a bit of a setback. My dad got quite ill with it, so it was quite worrying. Thankfully, he come through it all, and then we got past that next stage.
Yep, exactly. Because there's obviously been a lot of fighters. Probably the most high profile one was probably Povetkin, where they were saying that obviously he still hadn't recovered. You know, with the fight where that they said it still didn't look as if he'd recovered. So I guess there's probably more emphasis now putting people that's had COVID to make sure they're totally over it before they go back into a fight. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's it. So I don't think Jamie wanted me to do the fight anyway. And then once they all come down with it as well. By the time my isolation ended, Jamie's was just starting, and there was just no time to get back in the gym for the fight. So it was just one of them things, really.
Yep, exactly. You just had to move on from it. So how have you sort of cope with lockdown and things like that? Obviously the gym, your home gym and stuff's played a big part for it, but has it sort of helped in ways to probably help you more as a boxer, knowing that where it's mentally tough. You know, you can't go and do the things you normally want to do. Probably in ways might help you stop binge eating and doing bad things. But it's sort of lockdown sort of helped to give you a bit of extra motivation to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, it's gave me the time. Even like I come out here, I put the TV on sometimes, put the heaters on, and I might do a little bit of yoga or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like there may be added extras that I've missed out. I mean, whether it's helpful for boxing or not, but it's quite enjoyable. Good stretching, makes me feel good after. So I come out here. It's made me a little bit more relaxed because I am always 100 miles an hour. So it's made me a little bit more relaxed. It made me come out here and sometimes not have to go killing myself all the time. Sometimes have a stretching session, a recovery session. And yeah, I mean, my younger brother, he's good. Like we do some training together. So I've been able to focus on my strength a little bit more. I mean, obviously I was doing all the strength before, but we've changed my strength program around and keeping it real basic now, just lifting some heavy weights and that's it. So we come out here, we do a little bit and I see a few improvements. That's quite motivating as well when you see yourself improving. So yeah, it's been good though.
And you starting to get itchy knuckles now. I think MTK is announcing another show this week for May. He's starting to get itchy knuckles and going, right, Jamie, let's get us back in and let's get a fight.
Yeah. I want. I mean, I know the Sahir Iqbal fight. It was confirmed November and then February and then March. And he's a great fighter. It's not a call out or anything like that. I'm not that sort of person. But hopefully they can get that fight back on for me for June. Hands better, everything's better now. He's a great fighter, but again, another one that I'd love to test myself with and see what level I'm at. And I believe I could win that fight. And it's a great fight. So yeah, hopefully I'm back now training, focused and treating it as if I'm fighting in June and go from there, see what comes off.
Definitely. And I say sometimes you might look at the fight not happening before and sometimes it hasn't happened for a reason. And, probably depending on obviously what the outcome is of the fight, you'll go, well, these things that actually happened have actually made me a stronger person. They've probably give you that extra layer inside that you need it.
Yeah, even when I broke my hand, the last sort of 6 weeks, just working my jab only, because I got straight back in the gym the next day, working my jab only, and it's something that I'd never have done. Like if someone said, "Oh, have all round of working your jab only," I'd probably thrown a couple and then I would have wanted to throw my right hand again. Whereas when you can only throw your jab, it makes you only do that. And it probably slowed me down a little bit, give me a bit of rest, and it made me learn so much in that time. It made me think a lot more. Whereas I'm sort of always 100 miles an hour, it sort of slowed me down a little bit, got me thinking a little bit more, got my movement better, my feet better with adjusting my jab and things like that. So probably from what I learned in that 6 weeks, probably was like 6 months worth of experience, 6 months worth of learning sort of thing. So it really did help me. So yeah, it has probably worked out well in the long run. So like you say, it has been a blessing that these setbacks did come on.
Yeah, you looked at the positives sort of more on it as well, rather than going, oh, I broke my hand, I broke my jaw, COVID, everything else. You're going, these things have happened. Let's just make the most out of them now.
That's it. Every time I've had these setbacks, I've been back working the next day. When I broke my hand, the next day I was back in, I was working. I could still run. I could still do the bike. I could still do the boxing. I could still do my squats. Jamie was adjusting little circuits for me for my lower body only. So I was back working the next day. So, I mean, I used that time wisely to help me progress on. So hopefully it'll put me in good stead.
Definitely will. And sort of looking at I would say probably in any division at the moment, the welterweight division's on fire. There's been fantastic fights, obviously, all through. You obviously Benn and Vargas this weekend. You had McKinson Congo the other week. Josh Kelly, Avanesian, Lewis Crocker against Dennis Albee. And then obviously a fight that did fall through was supposed to happen for the British title in Jenkins and Essieman. So there's plenty of fighters out there for you sort of keep an eye on, to learn from, but also as well to look at potential opponents for the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of them big names there, I mean, I think I'm ranked 21, 22 or something like that in Britain. They're all a bit ahead of me, but of course they're all names that I love watching, I love looking at, and hopefully one day, you see a lot of fighters look up to people that they end up fighting one day. So hopefully one of them names might come off one day, and it'd be great if they could. But yeah, there's been some brilliant fights lately. The McKinson fight was great. I really believed he'd do that. I sparred him before, and I think he's a top talent, and I'm glad he got his shot to get the win and put his name out there on the big stage.
Yeah, he's obviously, he's now been on Sky Sports now, and he's saying that, winner stays on sort of thing. So it's nearly it's nearly an extra motivation for yourself, and knowing if you get an opportunity, Frank Warren's show, and Eddie Hearn's show, if you get the opportunity and you win, then I deserve to stay here, and it gives you that sort of extra thing sometimes to go, let's just copy what Mikey done now and get ourselves onto a bigger platform.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, any of these big opportunities come up and I'm there. Like I say, I'm not up for padding my record. If any big names come up, it'd be great for me. Mm-hmm. Get in there and get the job done. And like you say, winner stays on and try and keep the momentum rolling. Try and stay at that level. Try and stay at that stage. Yeah, like I say, I just have to see how things go and see what comes up next.
Yep, and obviously, as I say, when you look at them sort of landscape and things like that as well, it might not be long before your name's sort of in them big fights in the welterweight division as well. But it's taking your baby steps and sort of one fight at a time and going,
yeah,
where I want to be, another fight, move up. Like a lot of welterweight boxers probably may go down in rankings because they haven't had a chance to fight. So if you get out in June and get a fight, you could move up 5 or 6 places just with one.
Yeah, that's it. That's my way of looking at things. I mean, I'm quite happy with where I am in the rankings. I think I'm there within the top bunch, probably at the back end of it. But I think a couple of wins and I could be right up. I could be right up there. So yeah, it's motivation for me to even see some of them names. And think, wow, I'm like close to some of them top guys, sort of thing. So yeah, that's a motivation. And yeah, just whatever fights come next, I'll go from there, take the challenge and look to move on.
And see how it goes from there. Obviously, through COVID and things like that as well, I guess probably sometimes it can hit more home to people and the importance of sponsorship. Obviously here in Belfast and things like that, fighters have had to go to Belgium and Luxembourg and stuff like that to fight and had to rely so much on sponsorship. Is it probably a good thing that the COVID sort of happened, that sometimes you can nearly appreciate sponsors more, and probably, a lot of fighters sometimes can just appreciate that a sponsor's there regardless, whereas now it's probably a rebuild for a lot of fighters and going, let's get sponsorship involved and help, because let's face it, boxing isn't a cheap sport to be involved with licensings and medicals and everything else.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the sponsors that I've got and even the sponsors that I've had, like, have helped me get to where I am, have put me in the position that I'm in life now. And I can't thank every one of them enough. I mean, I've got some real loyal sponsors now that, again, understand the crack. And if I lose, they're still there supporting me. I've got a great lot of sponsors, and yeah, they do make life easier for me, and they do help me chase the dream. Got some amazing people who look after me, and people who care, people who want to see me progress on. So it's nice to have. It is nice to have, especially during these times as well. I mean, everyone's business is struggling. You see, not loyal people, but what people still really care about you, still believe in you, mm-hmm. and that motivates you. I've got some really nice people, and like, it's touching sometimes when you get some of the messages off the sponsors and stuff that they still want to keep going, still want you to chase your dreams, still want you to try. And yeah, it's nice, really, really nice.
And is there I know sometimes there's obviously sponsorship, sometimes it's getting their name out there and interviews and stuff like that. Is there any you like it's probably sometimes you're put in the spot remembering them all. But there's also your sponsors you'd sort of, do you want to give them a shout out and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. So the top one, Mango Tree Restaurant. So anyone who loves Thai food, if you go to London, Mango Tree, it's the best Thai restaurant you'll ever eat in. I honestly can't recommend it enough. The food is amazing in there. The service in there is lovely. It really is the best restaurant. They've been supporting me and sponsoring me for a long time now. And they're all lovely family people, and I thank them very much. Dice Meal Prep from Edinburgh. They've They keep me fueled all the time. Their meals are amazing. I know everyone around this area is getting on them. They're a great company. Amazing food. Expedition Roofing. My friend Reese, he's a great motivational guy. He sponsors me. Got a great roofing company. They travel all up and down the country all the time. He's a big help.
I have you in the spot now. It's trying to think of them all, not leaving them out.
And I've got another guy, Jeff Tucker. He's got the Rain and Gold shop just close to my house. He's a good guy. He was boxing when he was younger, and he looks after me, sponsors me, and helps me. And he wants me to go and chase the dream. He's a real good guy. So all of them people, I can't thank them all enough. It's amazing support.
Yeah, but I say it's not that, to say we're never not going to say, oh, you can't, shout out for your sponsors in the day. It's the sponsors that help to keep you in the sport, and as you say, they help to achieve your dreams. And without the sponsorship, you just be working as normal without any ambition of doing anything in boxing. Yeah,
no, that's it. They sometimes it gives me that motivation as well. I've got a lot of good friends as well that help support me in my boxing and things like that as well. When I get that sort of support and stuff like that, even from friends and sponsors, it makes me want to chase it even more. It makes me think like, God, these people actually believe in me. They want, like, I'm not just a joke. I am trying. I'm doing it, and they believe in me and want to see me do well. So it makes me like want to give it that extra edge in training. So yeah, it's really nice.
And I guess obviously the big dream is, obviously most of your fights have been in the Brentwood Centre or in York Hall. But obviously you're probably now starting to think, if you could be back in June, you could potentially have crowds and stuff there. So, you're probably knocking down people's doors shortly saying, do you want tickets?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. No, it'd be amazing. I feel like my fan base has grown during this a lot. Like some of the sponsors that I've got, some of the people that some of the new people that I've met and now involved with sort of all can't wait for me to box. And they're all like, oh, when your next fight, and we'll be there. We'll have this person and that person there. So I think I should get quite a few people coming to the next fight. Even if I've got to travel anywhere, I should have a few people there, which would be nice. It'd be a good night out. So
yeah, it definitely would. And sort of, not that we're sort of rolling back too much, sort of, but obviously fighting in Belfast as well, and probably an iconic venue in the Ulster Hall. Can you remember much, obviously, of the venue? Because anybody that sort of is there, and you're fighting on a brilliant card as well, but when you sort of look back and you're sort of standing in the ring, sort of waiting to fight, and you're going, what am I fighting? And it seems like it's a throwback in time. It's such a historic venue.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to fight in Belfast. I loved my trip to Belfast, and I loved every minute of it. It was it's made me the person who I am today. So I learnt a lot from it. It was a great experience. All the people in Belfast were lovely people. It was a top venue to fight at, and hopefully one day I'll get the opportunity to go back there, and I can right my wrongs and come out with a big win one day there. It'd be good.
Maybe even defend your British title there. You never know.
Yeah, even that one day would be a dream. It would be a dream to have lost in a venue and come back there one day as the main man and get a big win. One day could be a dream come true.
Definitely good. And obviously, not that I'm looking for you to call anybody out, but is there any sort of fighters you have in your mind that you'd sort of like to test your skills at moving on?
Yeah, I mean, this is the fight, the Sahir Iqbal fight. I think it was confirmed 2 or 3 times now. I know he's a good name. He's a top name. He's not a call out. I have respect for every fighter, and he's a great boxer. But I think that would be a great fight for me. He's long, tall, rangy, and we've been sort of working towards that style for quite a while now. So yeah, I mean that would be the fight. Hopefully, I could get on for June. If not, anyone else, I'm up for anything.
And anything goes. You'll take any fight you're given, because
definitely
you can't pick and choose in the sport sometimes. And if you don't take a fight, you may have to wait another 2 months for another fight to come along.
Exactly that. And sometimes you take these big fights, you get a big win, and they propel you up the ladder. And I mean, maybe the Paddy fight was too soon. If I won that fight, I may have propelled on too quick. But now I think it's the right time. If a big name did come up and I beat him and I progressed on, it might be a good time in my career.
And obviously for a lot of obviously English fighters and things, sometimes I think the normal sort of grade they look at it as you sort of move southern area, then the British. Is that correct?
Yeah. that's usually the way that people move on. Southern area, English, British. Again, my ultimate goal is to win a British title. So if it come up tomorrow, I'd be there. But I'd love to win a Southern area title first. Do it the traditional route, Southern area and English or British. But if I jump to one of them or any of these, you know, these European title fights come up, some of these IBF international or WBO internationals, any of these, then I'm there. It's a big fight with a big title. I'd love to test myself and see what I could do.
Definitely is. And I'm gonna sort of leave you with one final question. Where would you like to see or where would you sort of hope to be in the next 12 to 24 months within boxing?
So I'd like to be maybe within the top 15. Maybe within the top 15, and maybe like you say, a Southern area title, or some sort of title around my waist, or a few more big names on the record, a few more big wins, and be sort of the name that people want to fight. A few more big wins and be sort of in the mix between the top people in the division, and that would be the goal.
Yeah, because
that would be the goal.
There is quite a lot of obviously young welterweights obviously coming up. You know, Conor Benn is obviously up at the top. Mikey, Lewis, yourself. Yeah. There's quite a lot of younger boxers there, so there's boxers going to be there for quite a while. So we're sort of looking at them bigger fights at the moment, or the bigger names in the division. They're all still going to be there for quite a few years to come, unless they move up or obviously they have a bad injury, sort of have to retire, things like that. But it's fights you can sort of look forward to in the future as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like when you see like all the greats, like Pacquiao fought Marquez four times, something like that. Hopefully, I can sort of get up there and have a fight with one, win one, draw one, lose one, be up the top and being there with some of the top names and some of the top greats and be in some fights that'll be remembered, sort of things, and top names, and be amongst the top group of welterweights for this sort of age.
Yep, definitely. But look, Liam, obviously we've got to the end of the sort of question we have, the sort of run up. We obviously want to thank you obviously for coming involved and obviously having a chat with us. I always like to look at it as a way to get to know people. So at least now you know when you post things, I know what your dreams and aspirations and stuff are in boxing. Hopefully,
I really appreciate that.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, it isn't too long before you're getting, hopefully fight news potentially in June. And hopefully, touch wood, you don't have any more, obviously, injuries with your jaw, your hands in the meantime.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. I'm hopefully catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right, cheers, Liam. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.